Hello, vinyl community. Doodah Dave coming at you for another record review. Yup, it's time. One of the greatest live albums of all time, the Woodstock compilation album from the movie of the same name, recorded in August of 1969. Let's go over some of the artists, shall we? John Sebastian, you might know better from The Lovin' Spoonful. Canned Heat, one of my favorites. My first concert, actually, was Canned Heat. That summer, I believe, before Woodstock. Ritchie Havens, who opens up the festival. Country Joe and the Fish from San Francisco. Arlo Guthrie. Sha-Na-Na. Joan Baez. Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young. The Who. Joe Cocker. Santana, 10 years after. Jefferson Airplane. Sly and the Family Stone. Butterfield Blues Band. And Jimi Hendrix closes it up. The Star Spangled Banner into Purple Haze. So I wanted to do this album because the couple on the cover was somebody that Sandy and I met 2 summers ago. Not this past summer, but the summer before, summer of 2021, right? We're in 2023, 22, 21. Is Bobby, the woman is Bobby, and the man is Nick Erkeline. They were about 19 years old, and they lived in Middletown, which is a town about an hour away from Bethel, where Bethel Woods, where the Woodstock Festival was. Anyway, they ended up on the cover. They only found out because the Butterfly staff, that was a friend of theirs that was tripping, that they were hanging out with somebody they met at the festival anyway. And then the guy lying behind them is a Marine that had come back from Vietnam. So there's a whole story, iconography about the pictures. And Bobby, the woman in the couple, let me go on about Bobby and Nick. So story, we met them when we went to the monument at the Bethel Woods Center for the Arts, where the Woodstock Festival was, and they were there giving tours. And we met them, and they had the album. They said, we're the couple on the album. And we met them, we made pictures. We took pictures, we made a video. Sandy gave her some of her origami owl jewelry and a boom, and as a token gesture of love and appreciation. And it was really a special day. It was really great, really, really great. There at Bethel, magical things can happen up at Woodstock. So here's the album. I got the album, I guess last year, and 3 sides, 3 triple album, which was pretty revolutionary when it came out in 1970, the year after the festival. It was August in 1969. I think 16, 17, and 18, I think. It's August in the teens. And we usually go up there every year at that time. Sandy has an event up in the Catskills, and we go by the Bethel Woods Museum and see the Woodstock area. Terrific album. My favorite performance is the 10 years after I'm Going Home. I think that's fantastic guitar player, Alvin Lee. I remember seeing it on the screen. Really great, really terrific album. You've got the artists and all of the cuts on the back. It was a real feat in live recording, and both the music and the movie. Martin Scorsese worked on the movie. Bill Graham was one of the musical people that worked with Michael Wadley and Michael Lang, who worked on it. The inside, you've got some great photographs, a lot of skinny dipping at the famous watering hole there, the lake. Where we usually go for pizza and ice cream afterwards. And that's a Jim Marshall, the famous Jim Marshall that took so many rock and jazz photos in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s. I believe he lived. That's a picture, like a 3 triptych of the stage area. I'll show you the album. Couple more things I want to mention. Other great performances, of course, were Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They're famous. There's the label, that's side 4 on Cotillion, distributed by Atlantic. There's side 3. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young came out, and before they did Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, they said, we're scared shitless. This is our our first or second gig live. So that, of course, and then you had Country Joe in the Fish doing his Fish chant. He was out there and, give me an F, give me an I, give me an F, give me a U, give me a C, give me a K. What's that spell? The Fish cheer, which became the Fish cheer because they really couldn't say it was the fuck cheer. And went into I'm Fixin' to Die Rag, which was a famous anti-Vietnam song. What else? Joe Cocker was fantastic doing the Beatles. The Who did Tommy. I mean, it was just every performance you could pick out. Great stuff. Jefferson Airplane did Volunteers of America, Up Against the Wall, Motherfucker. Sly and the Family Stone, Dance to the Music. And I Want to Take You Higher. Throw the peace sign up. It'll do you no harm. And there's so many great quotes. Jimmy doing the Star Spangled Banner. Here's Jimmy, who of course was a veteran himself. The Love March. It Rained. There was just a lot of things going down at Woodstock. And I believe one person died, and it wasn't from a drug overdose. It was like he had an allergy to a drug. There were a couple people born. I believe there was a couple births. And considering it was 350,000, maybe as much as 400,000 people on the fringes of the festival, it's amazing that they kept it together with really no support. The biggest support they had, ironically enough, was the Army. Great announcers, Chip Monk, John Morris, Hugh Romney, and Muskrat. You have Wavy Gravy in there. Just a fantastic collection of acoustic, rock, English, American. Santana hadn't even been discovered yet. They did Soul Sacrifice. Wooden Ships at the Hop, coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags, if you please, Mr. Customs Man. Yeah. So, the Woodstock Nation, it was a festival for peace, love, and music. Originally, it was supposed to be in Woodstock, but Woodstock is over an hour away from Bethel Woods. Woodstock didn't want it for one reason or another. They tried to have it at Monticello, where the racetrack was. They have a racetrack, horse racing. They turned it down. This is another thing from my collection, not vinyl, but it's a songbook from Woodstock that I got, that I loved and cherished. Has some graffiti there from some of my songs and photos, and has songs from all the above. It's got the band in here, who also at Woodstock, and of course made their home up there. You've got Janis Joplin. I mentioned Janis Joplin, right? She was there, of course. Interestingly, Janis is not on the soundtrack album, and she was so. I guess that must have been they put several. Joan Baez. It must have been a record company thing. Canned Heat, I mentioned the band. Who else? Crosby and Nash, Sly. Yeah, so it's got some pictures in the middle. I want to show you that. And then we'll close up, all right? Yeah, you got the band. Here's Alvin Lee. Great Alvin Lee on guitar. You've got Joan Baez. Her husband, David, was doing a hunger strike for the war. Anti-war, to protest the war. You've got the famous icon. I have a t-shirt, several t-shirts actually with the dove and the guitar. And what else have we got here? We got people living in a plastic tent, due to the rain. They had the porta potties. Here's a black and white version of the cover from them swimming. They had the porta potties. Here's a picture of Paul Butterfield with the Butter and Sly, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Joe Cocker, and we have a couple on. This is the hill. That's the backdrop of where we were when we met Bobby and Nick summer before last. So great. Arlo Guthrie. Woody Guthrie's son, Woody Guthrie being, of course, Bob Dylan's mentor, and This Land Is Your Land, song to Woody, written by Bob Dylan as a tribute. The band, on their porch in Woodstock, and Santana, which had just been signed, hadn't even cut their first album with Columbia. They were a substitute. I heard a story. They were a substitute for Chicago that Bill Graham held to their contract because Chicago had to play the Fillmore West that weekend. So Santana substituted. So that's the Woodstock Songbook. And then one more. This is an album I picked up a couple of years ago to replace my old Woodstock album. This is the original. I only have one of the three, and I don't have the jacket. I don't know what happened to it, but I ended up with one. It's pretty scratched. I love it, though. This is the one with the Country Joe, as the Country Joe. The Fish Cheer, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then the flip side has Jefferson Airplane. So one of the better sides. 3 album set. That's Woodstock coming at you. Okay, I want to do jazz starting with A. I'm going to start with Nat Adderley. I'll give you that tease, and we'll work our way through the alphabet with jazz albums. Keep on rocking, vinyl community. Great seeing you. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you like the review of Woodstock. And rest in peace, Bobby, Nick, if you're out there and you see this, God bless. We'll see you on the next trip up to Bethel. All right, take care, guys. Have a good night. Keep on rocking.